time for an executive decision. Jim, let's get the latest on some guys who could help the Mets close that gap. David Stearns first.
You know, David Stearns, he would be a fantastic candidate, but they're in the same boat as they were last year. They asked for permission, they were denied. Likely, that's what's going to happen again. And then once that happens, because this is a lateral move, he already has the title President of Baseball Operations. No one in the game, except for people in New York, think that this would be a promotion, even though it's from New York. So it means he's going to have to go to the owner with 1 year left in his contract and try to ask to get out of the contract to interview for something that it's not guaranteed that he's going to get. I find it very hard to believe. I think it's a stretch that David Stearns is going to end up in New York.
Interesting. What about Josh Byrnes?
Josh Byrnes is a little different story. Listen, he's been a general manager 2 different times. He's not currently a general manager. He was in the mix for the Philadelphia Phillies GM/president of baseball operations job. You can get him, and it won't take. You'll be able to get permission. Dodgers will grant it. It would be a promotion for him. I think you look at him as a general manager, not as a president of baseball operations. Even though he's got 2 times as a GM, he wasn't successful in those. But after he left the Padres for that second time, he's been with the Dodgers ever since. He's overseen their player development. He's been involved with scouting. They've had unbelievable track record, obviously, at the major league level, which he's also been a part of. He was a part of hiring Dave Roberts. He'd be a really interesting candidate.
All right, so maybe he'd be a GM under Billy Beane. Our colleague John Harper was tweeting last night about how he's talked to people around Beane who say he's interested. What do you think about that as a fit? What's the latest?
So I've heard the same with him. Now, it's all over the board because you hear sometimes something he's not going to be interested in, and it's now that he is. I think there is definite interest. There's a couple of hurdles. First off, he has a part ownership stake in the A's. He would have to divest himself of that. That's not easy to do. It can be done. It takes time. Secondly, he has a lot of other interests that right now he's able to do as the president of the A's, president of baseball ops. He has invested in a couple of companies, including a soccer team in Europe, a cricket team in India. Like, he's running those. He just invested in another company that he's going to run. You have to divest yourself of those if you're going to come to New York. He has to come to that conclusion. Is he willing to do that? We don't know. He does have a prior relationship with Steve Cohen back a couple years ago. He spoke at Steve Cohen's company. I don't know how far long ago that was, but that was an interesting piece of information I found out today. I do think that there's a chance he would be a really good fit because of his relationship with Sandy. There would be the least amount of disruption in the front office. So I do and would be supportive if Billy was willing to come over. I just think there are a lot of things that he has to figure out if he really wants to come to the East Coast, because before this, he's never shown that ability, even turning down the Red Sox back in '02.